everyone, back with you on a, let's see, today is Wednesday. So, back with you on a Wednesday from the car. I haven't done this in a little while, but I wanted to give you guys a kind of a heads up on what was going on. So, I did miss a video yesterday, the Obesity Project. I was out sick yesterday. COVID was swarming through my office, and took the day off yesterday feeling pretty crummy, but the night before I did test, was COVID negative, was flu A and B negative, but it's an antigen test, and what I found was that I have a pretty strong immune system. I generally don't get sick very often, and that's partly due to my diet, partly due to my morning rituals, things like cold shower, stuff like that, to boost immune system function. And I do have a pretty good immune system, and I suspect that I was exposed to COVID or the flu, one or the other, and I think I just sort of fought it off. I still feel a little bit under the weather, but going into work today and going to do 21 surgeries, so it's kind of crazy, the volume that I'm going to be doing today on the heels of feeling like crap. But the reason I wanted to jump on here really quickly is to let you know why I didn't shoot an obesity video yesterday, why there's not going to be one today, and then lead into next week. So I am going to try to shoot videos the rest of this week, and over the weekend I'm going to try to shoot enough videos ahead of time to provide videos for most of next week. However, I do want to let you guys know that my wife is going in to have brain surgery, and we're going to be in the hospital for a week. She'll be in ICU for a night, and then up to a week in the hospital, and it's going to be a slow, gradual recovery from something called an acoustic neuroma, which is a pretty difficult brain tumor to remove, and we have one of the top-notch guys. Big shout out to Dr. Porter and Dr. Barber, an ENT and a neurosurgeon at Barrow's Neurologic Institute. They're going to do the surgery for her, but I'm going to try to pre-record videos so that we can go ahead and post them throughout the course of the next week. But if you don't see videos 1 or 2 days or even the entire week, you'll understand why. It's kind of a big deal. So the reason I wanted to jump on here today, besides that, was I did want to let you guys know how the carnivore diet is going for me. And so I'm on, actually today's day 12, and I did weigh in with my dietitian last week on a Friday. Unfortunately, in classic fashion, this sort of thing always happens, but in classic fashion, his body composition scale was broken, and he's in the process of having it repaired. So all I can really get is a weight. And I will tell you, having done body composition monitoring for about 3 years now, or maybe even longer, body composition is so important. Weight tells you very little. You could have lost a pound of weight and had it be a pound of muscle and a pound of water, and gain 2 pounds of fat, and vice versa. You could, lose a pound, or I can't remember which way I started, but you can gain a pound, lose a pound of lose a pound of fat, and gain a bunch of water weight and muscle mass. So the body composition is critical. When you just jump on a scale, you're really getting very little information. And there are some scales that give you some nice body composition, measurements. They're not super accurate, but it's more about trending. So those scales, like my wife uses a Renfro scale, it's about tracking the actual trends, not the actual numbers, because the numbers actually can be quite variable. But when you go to a dietitian who has a $10,000 body composition scale, it's almost as good as a DEXA scan. So very, very accurate, and I will tell you from firsthand experience, it monitors everything, and you really get a sense of what's going on. Over the course of time, I've seen, losses with fat gain, I've seen gains with fat loss, and visceral fat versus subcutaneous fat, and water composition, and body water percentages, and all these things are very important when you're trying to figure out what's going on. So I don't have body composition reporting that I can do because his scale was broken. But I did actually gain about a pound in the first week of doing Carnivore. Now, before you jump all over that, one, I don't know what the composition was. I might have actually lost some fat, who knows. But two, I was on a very strict, very regimented diet before starting Carnivore. Very, very low carb, intermittent fasting. And so when I met with Dylan Valenzuela, my dietitian, he explained to me that that's not terribly unusual. Whenever you shock the system compensates and the system tries to adapt. And I might have actually maintained some water weight, even though early Carnivore you tend to diurese, or you tend to get rid of water and electrolytes, which is why you want to supplement. So I don't really know what the composition was, but I know I gained a pound. So no harm, no foul. He said to me, he fully expected that would be I would either plateau or stay constant, or maybe gain a little bit of weight, which he sees very frequently whenever he changes anybody's diet plan to whatever diet they're doing. So no harm, no foul, and he expected to see a pretty significant drop this week, and hopefully his scale is back in working order, and hopefully I'll have body composition monitoring on Friday, and I will do a short video on Friday if I have some composition numbers that I can quote to you guys. So as far as the rest of it, that's just weight loss, or weight gain in this case. As far as the rest of it, I have sort of gotten into the Carnivore diet. I've kind of grown accustomed to just eating the meat and dairy and seafood and poultry and stuff like that. But so I eat a pretty wide variety of carnivore foods, and I haven't had any GI distress. My bowel movements have decreased slightly, but as I mentioned in previous videos in the Obesity Project, I have mentioned that you're utilizing so much more of the food that you're eating that there's not as much waste, that your bowel movements do decrease in frequency very often on carnivore diet. However, when I was doing the low carb and drinking tons and tons of water, my stools were getting very hard. I was supplementing with magnesium, and I was still having a hard time with constipation. And now none of that. So although I go less frequently, when I go, it's normal, it's easy, and I'm not straining, and hopefully I don't get hemorrhoids from all the straining I did early on. Anyway, not to get too disgusting with you guys, but so GI, not an issue at all. I feel very satiated. I eat to fullness. No problem there. Like, it's been actually a pleasure eating breakfast in the morning. It's been a pleasure not feeling hungry all day long, which I did very often. For me, and I know this is different for other people, and it always irritated me that it was this way for me, but intermittent fasting for me was very hard. I felt hungry all morning long, even though I didn't eat till noon or 1 o'clock. It was always very hard. I was always hungry. My stomach was always grumbling. And, when I talked to Dylan, my dietitian, he's like, I've been doing it for a decade or more. And he's like, I just am never hungry in the morning. And for me, I used to tell him all the time, I hate you, because I'm hungry all the time. And I did it for like 2 years. It's not like I did it for, a month. So for me, it's very enjoyable being able to eat breakfast. I'm back to, I used to eat eggs most of the time when I ate breakfast, and now I'm eating eggs and bacon and cheese, and it's delicious, and I'm filled, and I feel very comfortable going into work, and it's no problem. Half of the time I'm not even that hungry for lunch, maybe starting to get a little bit hungry. So I usually eat a lighter lunch, and then I have a nice carnivore dinner. And it's been working out really well as far as eating goes. It's not been a problem. I may have mentioned, I think I did mention on one of the videos that my wife was not exactly on board with preparing meals for me on Carnivore, but she's come around. She's actually helping me prepare the meals, making some really good stuff. And you know, so I've got some variety in my diet, and all in all, it's working out really great. I haven't seen a ton of energy, which a lot of people report early on in Carnivore. I have a feeling that might be due to being on a very strict diet and converting into Carnivore already, and then being exposed to COVID, and or at least I'm suspecting COVID. I mean, I tested negative, so it's hard to know for sure. But other people in my office that have it were tested positive, and so I know COVID itself was going around my office. And so I suspect having been exposed to COVID and fighting it off is the reason that I don't have a tremendous amount of energy. Yesterday I was completely drained, but I think yesterday was the bulk of me sort of counteracting and fighting off the infection. Today I do feel a little bit better, a little bit more energy, and you know, it's definitely on the mend. So, you know, having had COVID prior, it was, you know, a week of illness and, you know, 2 to 3 weeks at least of energy drain. Whereas I had one day where I felt kind of crummy, and then my energy's already coming back. So, I think, you know, I definitely thwarted that infection. But so I suspect that's the reason that I haven't noticed much in the way of energy with Carnivore. Again, only 12 days in, but usually by now I think most people are reporting an increase in energy. My energy levels are usually pretty good anyway, but that may be the case. And I did notice a little bit more skin eruption, so that might be just from the increased fat intake. That does reportedly, I mean, again, I'm telling you what's going on in the early stages. That, you know, that may be just the change in diet, and everybody does report your skin gets fantastic on Carnivore over time. So that may just be the transition period. I have noticed a little bit of outbreak and a little bit of stuff on my face. So nothing major there, nothing crazy. No, you know, I haven't had, you know, any skin issues before. I didn't have eczema or psoriasis or any of those things. So just, you know, the normal, you know, acne or skin eruptions that, you know, typically happen at various times in your life. So that's the update. So far so good. I feel pretty good on it. I enjoy my meals. It took very little time for me to get used to eating one, or maybe even like a little side of cheese or something like that, but basically one thing for a meal. That took me a couple days to kind of get used to, not having a side dish, so to speak. But, you know, I've settled into the diet pretty well. I will report to you guys on Friday what happened with weight, but so far so good on Carnivore diet. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the Obesity Project. I will be back with you doing those videos. I believe the next one is on weight loss, and then the next one after that is going to be seed oils and the danger of those. And we'll get into all of that next time. So thank you so much for watching, and just wanted to provide just a quick update. I'll see you next time.